All right, so welcome to Digital Literacy. We are going to have a lot of fun today. We have some activities to do together, and we're looking forward, as always, to learning from each other. And today you can see what we'll be covering. We're going to think together about what is digital literacy, and we're going to do some thinking about where we were here last year when we met in a kind of a similar session and we were just wrapping our minds around AI and its implications and how we've changed and grown with our students over this year. We're going to think about digital literacy and how we can use it for good and how it can actually be a powerful, transformative piece to equipping kids for critical thinking. We are going to do some talking still and forever about how kids can use, and us, and how we all can use digital tools responsibly. And the main point, it all points to this. What does all of that mean for authenticity and our unique voices? So how do we live in this tech soaked world and still be unique and speak our truth and our voice? So we have a little activity to get started. I'm going to read these out, and I'd like for you to put in the chat which one you feel you belong in. And there might be an overlap. So this is a range of those of us that are still just really unsure about digital tools, all the way to those of us who think we've got this, we're masters. So the digital ostrich is number one. You prefer pen and paper. You don't want to have much to do with AI. You don't even really like to do chats or WhatsApp. Just call me, right? I don't want to text. Just stick with the tried and true. The bewildered bystander, number two. You see the digital world, you're kind of curious about it. You've seen some people do some cool stuff with it, but you don't know where to start with it. You really don't know how to get in there. When you try to use digital tools for yourself, it doesn't always go well. So you're pretty reluctant to try it with your students. Three, right in the middle, turtle, cautious learner. If I could pick one just based on the icon, it would be the turtle because I love a good turtle. You're peeking out there and you're taking some steps, albeit some slow steps. You're a little reluctant if something doesn't come easily, but you're willing to give it a try and you're moving forward. Digital Explorer is someone who is pretty comfortable in the digital world. You know how to navigate it, you're curious about it, you're learning more, you've tried stuff for yourself, you've tried stuff with your classes, you're exploring, all the way up to five, the tech guru, who you are the one that people come to with questions about digital literacy. You're like, I've got this. I have tools for you. I can teach you. I navigate this. I love this stuff. So I see you're already active in the chat. Just plop it in there. Are you an ostrich, a bystander, a cautious learner, an explorer, or a tech guru? And own it. If you are a number one, there is no shame. We are all on a range. Five mostly, yeah. Might be. Yes, and Jason, yes, like some of us are in it, but we have to kind of admit, like, I do miss the old days, but I can do this, but I kind of miss the old days. Lots of threes. Oh, Celso. Moving up to a six, a mix of four and five. Digital minimalist. I love that term. That's a really good point too, Celso. Can you talk a little bit about that as we started? Because we haven't really covered the socio-mental part of this. Tell us what you mean by that.
No, it's just that nowadays we see a group of people, maybe at least I see it because we know we live in bubbles nowadays, right? So I think there is this need, we have this necessity of trying actually now to balance how much we use from all technology possibilities, which are great, but they also can be very, very damaging if we don't have this limitation. So it's actually hard. I think our society needs to find out this balance. Not just one person.
Right. Yeah. It's so complex, and I'm really glad you brought that up because in today's session, we're focusing on the tools and how to read them and how to use them. But you have to be really smart and compassionate and thoughtful about the whole process, not just an assignment or a task, but also what it's doing to relationships, how, our personal comfort level and mental health with it. So I love that we can kind of put that at the beginning and frame that as we talk about that. And make a note of that for another conference, because that's important. All right. Well, I encourage you all to stick with us during this session and think about where you are. And that's gonna kind of frame how you receive the information that we share today. So one of our points today is around that digital compass level, and what you can do as you're getting really comfortable and what that means for your kids. So we're going to transition um, to Karen here, continuing the metaphor.
And you guys, as always, you make this so easy. Everything that we intend to bring up, you just make happen naturally. So one of the things that I want to share with you is an activity that I use in our information literacy course. A little plug for that, newly updated for the 24-25 school year. We deal with a lot of digital literacy pieces in that. But you'll notice just in this little graphic, it really is about merging what we know are best practices in critical thinking, in relationship building, in making connections in the real world, text-based, person-to-person, with the digital tools that are constantly advancing and in the worlds where our kids live. And it's about bringing those two things together. So just to demonstrate, and this is an activity, again, that we use and that can be adapted very easily. It can be done individually, it can be done as a class, it can be done in small groups. And it is, I call it the idea compass. It is adapted from an activity called the Compass of Zettelkasten, from his atomic thinking theory. And basically what it is you take an idea, any idea in our context, perhaps something you've encountered online, a piece of information, but it also can be an idea that you've had. And in this metaphor of being an explorer and having a compass, you give it direction and you take on one direction at a time. So if you take an idea being X, and you're looking to the north, you're looking upstream. Where does this idea come from? And that can be in the digital space. What is the source? Source evaluation. Is it, does this person have credentials? Or just, what is its context? Some of the questions that we ask when we're looking up north, what are its origins? What evidence supports it? What belief or value systems does this idea support or advance, right? So it's looking at origins. If you're looking to the West, you're looking for connections. What is similar to this idea? What's familiar about it? Where have I seen it before in other analogous experiences? What are some other ways to say it? You're looking for those connections. If you're looking to the East, you're looking for things that challenge this idea. What competes with it? What undermines it? What makes me question it? What are other perspectives surrounding it? And then you go to the South, and now you're looking downstream. And where will this idea take me next? What am I going to do with it? How am I going to build from it? So what we're going to do to demonstrate how this idea works in the digital space is break you guys into 4 breakout rooms for just a short time, little brisk activity. I'm going to give you an idea. In each of these rooms, one will be north, one will be west, one will be east, one will be south. These are the ground rules. The first thing that you do is just try to address the question on your own without doing anything. Just what comes to mind. What do you know? What do you think? Then free for all on any digital tools you have available to you. Break out your phones, open up your Chat GPT prompt, open up your Google search bar, whatever you want to use to kind of explore the idea, and think about how directionally you would navigate this using digital tools. Then gather those thoughts and we'll come back and discuss. So any questions about that? Kind of throwing it at you because we're just going to try it. We're just going to do it and see what comes up. Okay, so this is the idea that I'm going to ask you to explore from one of those 4 directions. Okay. As artificial intelligence evolves, we must remember that its power lies not in replacing human intelligence, but in augmenting it. That the true potential of AI lies in its ability to amplify human creativity and ingenuity. And we will also message that idea to you in your breakout room so you can see it. But again, if you're in the North room, where does this idea come from? If you're in the West room, what's familiar? What is similar to this idea? If you're in the East room, what competes with this idea? What challenges it? What questions does it raise? If you're South, where can you go next? Where will this idea take you next? Okay. So let's go ahead and break out into breakout rooms. And this is going to be like a 3-minute activity. So first instinct, and we'll see you back here when we're done.
Welcome back.
Okay, so I know that was super fast. we threw that at you. We were just getting going in our group and we had to come back. So I just want to take a minute and kind of let each group share a little bit. I know it was fast. One of the things that really resonated from me from the keynote this morning was inviting long conversation. This does not lend itself well to that, but hopefully it will lend itself to long thinking and practice in future applications. So let me start with the North group, where did this idea come from? Did you guys have any standout ideas, findings? How'd things go in your group?
I really liked Megan's idea. I'm gonna steal your idea, Megan. Of she talked about the Jetsons and how like even in that world, like that we all said we kind of wished we were in, right? When we were kids watching it, but that they still had creativity, they still had, they were still doing that, they just had tools that were helping them do those things that Megan and I both wish the laundry thing could happen, but so that's they still had to use some creativity and have some it didn't replace human intelligence. That was still there. They just had some really cool tools that I sure wish we had.
Yeah, I love that. What digital tools did you use as you were thinking about it, if any, or did you just get talking?
We kind of just were talking.
Nothing wrong with that. I was always with the North. The first thing I wonder with the quotation is if anybody just just copied and pasted into a Google search to see if you could find its actual origins with where did this idea come from? So, which is a digital tool that we can use, right? And fun fact about this idea, this is a quotation that was taken from a blog titled Pro AI. And this is a quotation from the CEO of IBM introducing their newest AI programming. So not an unbiased source, this, right? And, and it's important to know where these ideas come from. Does it change the way you think about it? Why or why not? And digital tools can help us do this kind of thing. When an idea comes to us, it enables us to check sourcing, to look for bias, to do that. So that is a way that bringing digital tools in and showing students how to use those to check where sources come from can be incredibly helpful. Okay, I'm gonna keep this crisp and moving. Let's go to the West. What is similar to this idea? What's familiar about it? Or analogous to it?
Yes, I can chime in. We talked about the fear people had with AI, and a lot of that fear alleviated because it's not that dangerous of taking over everything, taking our jobs, all that. And that the fear has existed forever of people afraid of something new that pops up, and it replacing some other aspect, and in the end, it didn't. It ended up, for the most part, being a tool to help.
Absolutely. Did anybody use digital tools? Did you guys just chat or did you look anything up?
Mostly just chatted, yes.
I love that. This is my favorite part of the bridge thing with this exercise. Okay, how about to the east? What challenges this idea? What competes with it?
We talked about trying to find the sweet spot of where students are using this as a tool for learning and augmenting the wisdom they already bring as opposed to a substitute. And then we talked about, as a competing idea, Jason brought up some great points about kind of the role of like fear in the classroom and how, sometimes you experiment with using a tool and it doesn't go well. And so then the response is, well, I'm not going to use it at all. And so these sort of like bans on AI as a competing challenge that isn't moving us forward.
Yes. Did you guys just talk to you, or did you look anything up or use any tools in it?
We looked up the origin of the quote because I couldn't move on until I knew.
And just out of curiosity, did it tell you the CEO of IBM?
It did.
Okay, good. Just because sometimes you get different, and we'll come to that later. Okay, so then does anybody besides me from our group want to share the south, the downstream, where it could take us next?
I'll share.
Yay!
I just Googled using a digital tool as prompted, and basically I asked where can artificial intelligence take us in the future, and the answer in just a bit of a summary said AI powered immortality, an end to sickness, inequality, and poverty, and a solution to climate catastrophe facing our planet. So those are
There's
some
some places.
big ideas that might cause a little uneasiness, but for me, it's intriguing and exciting.
Very nice. Yeah, we didn't have a chance to talk about your fight. Yeah, those are some directions, right? And one of the things I loved in our group was actually incorporating ChatGPT and actually entering the prompt and where can this take us in education? And we got a long list of some wonderful places that it could go. So we were using those tools to prompt ideas, which now we can go to the next slide, Angie. Which is where this activity, and I like to use it in information literacy. It can work in any classroom, in any context. And so in terms of the digital tools, what I love about it is that it really does give you a chance to practice lateral reading, or what we call thinking in 3D. The biggest difference between information that we're gathering in a digital context and what we are, some of us are more familiar with even still, reading text, where you read top to bottom, one piece of information, you process it, and then you go to the next thing. When you are in digital spaces, there are gazillion tabs open at once. You can check, you can click on a link in a bibliography to check the source while you're reading. You can check the author. You can, pop over to a new tab and check something. And so you can really do it in 3D and think about it in 3D, especially important for source evaluation and origins of sources. With making connections, you can Google, you can compare. One of my favorite things about doing this activity in class is having students use their own phones and enter their own prompts. They're both looking for the same information, and then compare what their devices gave them. Because getting that concept around our algorithms are different, our filters are different based on your search history, on the particular way you framed a prompt or asked the question. The same people in the same group looking for the same information often get very different results. And it's fascinating to watch them compare and make connections about what they're getting on any given question. The digital world is beautiful for popping the filter bubble. Even though our algorithms create our filter bubble, it also gives us an opportunity to search for things that disagree. You can use ChatGPT in a really powerful way in this regard. You can actually ask, okay, I have this idea, I believe it, I have a source. what challenges this? What is different from this? And have it guide you towards different ways to think about it. It's, you know, we have tools that can help us do this. And again, same thing with where do we take it next? When we are inviting student thought, when we are asking them to question the ideas that are in our classes, that we're teaching, that we're discussing, that are coming from them, they can use all of these digital tools to move them forward. And this is all about process, right? We're not looking at the thing we're asking them to produce. We're engaging them in the act of thinking, questioning, prompting, and giving them specific directions in which to take it. And finally, just to wrap up this activity, I like this activity because what happened in class is almost always exactly what happened here. It ends in conversation. You're using your digital tools and finding out all of these little pieces of information, and you're kind of going to your corners, which is how a lot of us, and certainly how a lot of our students experience the digital world. But then we're bringing it back and we're talking about what we found. We're talking about, you know, how it connects and compares, and how it moves an idea around and how it connects us all. And I think that is such a beautiful way to think about not just exploring digital spaces, but navigating them with intention and purpose and as a community. So that is just sharing that activity as a way to think about digital literacy. And for even more tools to get there, I will pass you off to Megan.
So we'll do a little transition because I
Or
like
not.
to think about, we're gonna skip a little bit so we have time. So as we think about, I like to call them healthy tensions. So you have two things that seem like opposing forces, but really it's what keeps us up, it's what keeps us moving. So like Celso said in the beginning, I know how to use digital tools. I know what to do with my kids. I'm going to invent a new level and call that level 6, because what I'm working towards is the tension between using them and, you know, staying sane, staying mentally healthy. So it's that healthy tension. You need both. Like we can't be an ostrich. So for those of you that, you know, are at a 1 level, that is valid, but in order to be successful educators and really help our students, we can't keep our heads down. We have to rise up. And from there, you know, it's a reckoning between, there are some things to be fearful about. When you talk about digital tools, any digital tool, one of the base fears is this going to replace humans? Like that's the age-old question. And I think the answer is no, but there are some things that are a little scary when you start thinking about it. So that tension to exploration. And when you explore, you're remembering that you're exploring for a higher purpose. You're admitting that there's some stuff to be nervous about, but you're going to figure out how to combat that. And I didn't do a tension slide. I did more of a scale because I want us to lean heavily on the exploration. Similarly, whole different discussion when we see our kids using those tools inappropriately. There's the policing attitude. I'm going to catch you. I'm going to give you a 0. I'm going to say that was wrong. Do we need to have those conversations? Yes. Do there need to be consequences when a student totally copies something off of AI or another site? Yes. But our attitude is not, we're up here and we're telling you what to do. That's not okay. Our attitude is, hey, you're off track there, but let me show you how you can use these for your benefit. So less policing, more empowering, less ostrich, more Yoda. So here to tell you a little bit about a tool that we're very excited about that will empower you to empower students. We have Megan, who's been working on an exciting project.
Thank you, Stephanie. Yeah, I really like the idea of what we need less of, what we need more of. And I think that when it comes to AI, what we need more of are examples of how to use the tools. How specifically do we use them? So I'm going to show you a little bit about that today by taking you on a tour of our learning library. Before I do that, I just want to say this shelf was designed with both teachers and students in mind. We have guidance and tutorials on how to write prompts, how to create images. We have help with specific subject areas, and then there's a lot more in there. And also, it's a living resource, so it's going to be updated. We had this page ready to go last month, and we already have so many ideas for things that we want to add to it. And so check back with it, because we're going to be updating it as AI advances. So let me show you around. But this is shelf 9.5 in the Learning Library, so you can just find it by easily going to the Learning Library. This is our introduction page. The shelf is kind of a lesson within a lesson, because anything that could have AI assist it, we used it. So most of the images that you're going to see were created by AI. A lot of the paragraphs are edited by AI. Lists and examples, again, we had some help there with AI. So you can look at it and see not just here are directions on how I can use it, but also, oh, that's how they used it. You can navigate it pretty easily with just these buttons down here at the bottom. It's designed so that you can go to it very quickly and move through it quickly to find the information that you need. I'm going to start actually here with this AI 101. This is really your getting to know AI. If I don't know what to do, this is a great place to start. We've got everything from how do I write an effective prompt to how do I know it's ethical to use it or not? So lots of great lessons there. We broke it down into specific subject areas and gave advice on, we gave little videos to tell about the specific AI program that we are talking about, and then tips on how to use it. All of the AI accounts that we have featured in here are free, so you and your students don't have to pay anything for them. You can, but you don't have to. If you're worried about this, using ChatGPT to complete your entire assignment, don't worry. We just want to put in a friendly reminder to students that no, that's not okay, and you should not be doing that. Here are all the different types of ways that you can use it. Since we've got educators here, I did want to highlight this one because if there is one thing that I could tell you, that I could tell students who are doing research and they're using AI, it would be to please not use ChatGPT and to please use a program like Perplexity. And we've got information here for how they can use it, but it'll cite the sources for them so they can go back then and check and see, oh, is this a good source? Does it actually exist? Sometimes they can give you some fake sources there. So if I were going to give a tip for students, it would be look at that page and please use that resource. And just to be mindful of time, I'm going to let you guys explore that on your own, but each of these pages is designed basically in the same way and just gives you information for each of those. Okay, so thank you. If you are just getting started in AI, for that, I do recommend using ChatGPT. And I would challenge you to think of it as the thought partner you never thought that you had. It's a busy world in education, and sometimes you just need somebody to bounce some ideas off of, to help you brainstorm ideas, to proofread something for you. And ChatGPT can be that and can really help make your life a lot easier. And in this same vein, you want to be the Zen tiger kitty cat here. So to lessen your frustrations as you start to explore, so you too can be the Zen tiger. As you're getting started with it, give ChatGPT an identity before you start conversing with it a lot. So for example, if I'm a high school Latin teacher and I want help brainstorming ideas for a project, then I need to tell it, you are an expert high school Latin educator. And then it'll know how to respond to me a little bit better in that vein. You need to be specific with it. Give me 5 examples of this. Give me 10 questions that I could look through. and it can be very literal. So proceed with caution with that. You want to converse with it. It's very rare that it's going to give you an automatic response that's just really perfect. You're usually going to have to say, it'll give you a response. You're usually going to have to say, I like that. Can you change it like this? I like that. Could you adapt it for these kind of readers? And then you can get it to where it is that you're wanting to be. But don't get frustrated if you're starting to work with it and it's not exactly what you want it to be. It's not a human being, so it's not going to fully replace that. But you can get a lot of good ideas for it. And lastly, I do think you should be polite with it. I think good manners matter, even whenever we're talking about the world of AI. And with that, I think I turn it back to Karen.
Karen.
Is it me or did you want to do this, Steph?
I'm sorry, it is you, but I'm looking at the time, and since Angie and I are presenting in 1 minute, I think
Yep.
we need to close here. We did have a closing activity. You'll just have to live curious about that and know that obviously we will be returning to this conversation again. So thank you all so much for coming. We're going to scoot and we will see you in other sessions today.